Okay, well, this week's really opened up with the whole Guptagate scandal, the Waterkloof water base, Air Force Base, and the famous Gupta wedding party issue being raised, and the trade unions have again been vindicated. The South African National Defence Union, its 2 members, have had all the charges withdrawn, and now a civil case will go ahead. Now, it's being openly debated, so therefore I'm not going to deal with that, nor with the whole idea of centralised bargaining, which is also being openly debated. I'm going to start my Labour wrap this week with a question to you. Do you think it is possible for the very wealthy chief executive officers of 1,000 of the world's richest and most powerful corporations to be part of the solution to the ongoing inequality, the joblessness, and the general social and economic crisis we face? Or are they part of the problem? I ask this at the very time that the latest Oxfam report has come out, which shows growing inequality, just as many other surveys have done. But it also shows that by next year, in round figures, 1% of the world's population will own and control 50%, half of all the wealth in the world. Now, the reason I also raise it this week is that we have the start of that annual extravaganza in a remote alpine village in Switzerland, the World Economic Forum. Now, many of you probably think of the World Economic Forum as some sort of international body, United Nations type body, humanitarian. It is nothing of the sort. It is actually one of the most powerful representatives of that very 1%. It's one of those clubs. It is a club, the members of which are 1,000, actually 1,000 men, I think they're all men, who are the heads of the most wealthy corporations. So therefore, what is Davos? I think Davos, and most of the Labour movement would agree, is a place where these people wine, dine, bribe and bully various decision makers to adopt policies and positions that suit the corporate world. But the Davos venue has also become the place where anybody who thinks they are anybody wishes to be seen. It's a place where pop and film stars are able to wander around glitteringly displaying their hearts on their sleeves. It's also where the invited media can hobnob, rub shoulders with presidents, politicians, monarchs, kings, queens, princes on an apparently equal basis. What that boils down to is, I think, and again I say the Labour movement tends to agree, it's a very professional example of public relations seduction. The South African unions won't be there. Definitely not, because they accept that analysis. But it's not the sort of analysis you're generally going to get published or broadcast in South Africa. And not only because President Jacob Zuma, a clutch of ministers and officials at some considerable taxpayer expense, are attending the Davos bun fight, also because many of the media invitees and attendees there have already declared themselves to be acolytes of the WEF. But you know, even when the WEF head, the billionaire Swiss CEO of the World Economic Forum, says we're at a crossroads, which the unions have been saying for years, that we have either disintegration on the one side or cooperation on the other. It's a very serious matter about which we should all be thinking, and it's going to be the focus of my Inside Labour column, which you'll be able to read on this platform, Fin24, tomorrow, and in the business section of City Press on Sunday in print. But let's put our minds, our brains into gear before we hit the keyboards and come up with some sensible, reasonable arguments for and against. Enough already with silly remarks about my cap or exercises into bigotry. Let's have some really good, honest debate, because these issues are far, far too important to ignore. And you know where to go? It's editor@fin24.com. Send those remarks to editor@fin24.com. And as per usual, for this week, that's all from me. Cheers.